Audio Jungle.
All right, how you doing? Thanks so much for being here. I'm instructor Dwayne Jenkins. Here to show you a few more things about how to get better at playing guitar. Okay, so in today's video, I wanted to show you a few some practice tips for some beginners out there who are learning how to play guitar. Need a few practice tips. Want to make a quick video for that. Get something going for you here. All right, so first of all, my first thing is don't buy a whole bunch of new gear. You don't need it. I've seen this happen many, many times with students that have come to me. People come to me and they think that if they get a better guitar, they get a better amp, they get this, they get that, it's going to motivate them to practice. And half the time it doesn't. It really doesn't. Either you have it in to do it or you don't, you know. So getting, you don't need a $3,000 Gibson. You don't need a $2,000 amp. You don't need that. All you need is a good guitar. Doesn't even have to be, name brand something. When I first started, I started with the cheap, like a Chinese. It was kind of like a copy of a Fender. It wasn't really that great. It didn't stay in tune that great, but it worked. And I cut my teeth on that guitar, and I did everything I needed to do. And then once I got good, I got comfortable, I got me a better guitar. And that's what I would recommend doing that. Just get you a good guitar. You don't want it to be cheap because it's just not going to play well. But make it, just kind of middle of the road. It doesn't have to be anything truly expensive, but just get you a guitar and just learn to play it. Okay, don't worry about getting pedals. I had a student a long time ago. He's, well, once I get this guitar, he got a really nice guitar. Now I'm ready to go, and that didn't work. And then he got him a really nice amplifier. Then he got him some pedals, and it was just endless. He kept buying more gear and thinking that that was going to help him, motivate him to practice more, and it didn't. Okay, so don't worry about that. Just get what you need. Get you get you a guitar, get you an amplifier. Even if it's not the ultimate thing that you want right now, don't worry about it. Just get something, get going. All you really need are three things: good guitar, a good amp, and some training material. Okay, you get those three things, you're on your way. Number two, what you really need more than anything is you need the desire to learn. You got to have the desire in here to learn. Like when I first started, that's what I had. I couldn't really afford, Marshall amps and Gibson guitars and Fenders and all that stuff. I just couldn't afford it at the time. But what I had was a desire to learn. So I got me a guitar I could afford. I got a little combo amp I could afford. I don't think it was even name brand. The distortion on it was terrible. But it didn't matter because I had what I needed and I started practicing. And I had that desire, that burning desire inside of here to learn, to just get going. And that's what you need. Okay, if you got that, all that other stuff you can get later, and when you do get it, it's going to be great. You're going to sound great because you're going to know how to play. You cut your teeth on that thing that wasn't all that great, might have been what you wanted, but you cut your teeth on it, and I guarantee it, when you do get what you need, it's going to be so much better. But you've got to have the desire to learn. You've got to have the desire to learn and the willingness to put in the work. Okay? That's number two. Number three, I would highly recommend you use a metronome or some kind of drum loops or something to help you develop timing. I cannot tell you how many musicians I've come across over the years who do not have good timing. Musicians I've tried to play with, in bands, or musicians that come to me and want to learn, and we're trying to do some simple chord progression, 4 times on G, 4 times on G, 4 times on C, 4 times on D, 4 times on G again. Real simple, just basic simple stuff, and they just don't have good timing. I'll try to tell them to count, they don't do it. You definitely want to use some type of metronome or something, some kind of, metronome, or, some drum loops. Like I got some drum loops here, simple 4x4 beat. And use something like that, gives you a chance to get like a count. 1, 2, simple G and C, D, back to G. And if I wanted to play it more, that drum loop just helps, that beat. That rhythm again. You see how that, it just helps you with timing purposes. So if you don't want to use a metronome, use a drum beat, some kind of drum loop to help you with your timing. Plus it also helps you with getting creative ideas too. Once you get that drum beat going, it helps you to fuel your creativity. So I would highly recommend doing that. That's a great practice thing to work with, okay? A great practice technique. I would highly recommend that you utilize that in your practice sessions, okay? The next thing you want to do is you want to measure and track your progress. That's very important too, because you want to like map out what it is you want to work on. Maybe some chords, work on some timing, work on a little theory, maybe some lead guitar work, stuff like that. Map that out and track your progress. Say, okay, where am I at with this? Am I getting better at this? Maybe I need to work on that. Maybe you're getting good at understanding, you know, rhythm, but not so much lead, so put a little more time into lead. Or maybe you're having some issues with the understanding the theory behind all that stuff, and so put a little bit of time into that and track your progress, so that way you know where you're at all times. It's very, very important. That's going to help you progress quickly because you're always tracking where you're at. It's very, very important. And last but not least, be consistent with your practice. Very, very important. That's probably most important. That and having the desire to learn. I'd say those two things right there. You have those two things, you're gonna progress, you're gonna get better, you're gonna get to where you want to go. Okay. And the thing of it is I would recommend, if you're just starting out, start out, you know, 15-20 minutes a day, because much more than that, your fingers and muscles probably won't be able to do it. But as time goes on, you'll be able to put in more time. But at least be consistent, at least every day or every other day. But don't do the thing that most people commonly do, is they, you know, will practice for 2 hours one day and then take off the next 2 days and then put in an hour and then take off a day. You know, that doesn't really work that well. It's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it, 15-20 minutes every single day. Because if you don't do that, you know, it's like you're making progress and then you take some time off and that progress comes down. Then you get back into it, progress goes up and then it comes down. But when you're at it every single day, you're keeping that progress meter up like this at all times. And that's what you want to do. And once you keep doing that enough, you're going to start really seeing some progress, okay? So, once again, those 5 things, I'd recommend doing that. Just start off with, number 1, don't worry about buying all kinds of gear. That's just a waste of time. You know, put in the time on the instrument. Number 2, make sure you have the desire to learn. That's very, very important. If you don't have that, I would highly recommend you get it, because all the great equipment in the world ain't going to do any good if you don't have the desire to learn and you don't have the willingness to put in the work necessary to get it done. Okay, number 3, use a metronome or some kind of drum loops or something to help develop your timing. That's very, very important. And learn to count. I can't emphasize that enough. There's so many musicians I've met over the years who just, they don't do that, you know. And then you try to play with them, or they try to play with somebody else, and it just doesn't work, okay? And it's always fun when you have like a friend who plays guitar and you guys can play together. But if you don't have good timing, you can't do that. So make sure that you spend some time working on your timing. Okay, number 4, make sure you measure and track your progress. That's the main thing right there. Measure and track your progress. Make sure that you're always moving forward, okay? If you're lacking a little area, put some more time into that. If it's theory, or if it's rhythm, or if it's strumming, or if it's forming chords, or, you know, if it's playing the solos, whatever it is, or maybe even getting a good quality sound. You know, there's all kinds of things to the guitar, and getting a good sound, especially with electric guitar, that's a whole other education in itself. So make sure that you put some time into that, okay? And if you put a little bit of time, like I said, and number 5, the main thing, be consistent with your practice. Very, very important. And if you map it out, it's going to be a lot quicker. It's going to be a lot better because you're not going to be thinking about the time. You're going to say, okay, I've got 10 minutes to do this, 10 minutes on this, or even 5 minutes. 5 minutes on this, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. You know, you do 4 things 5 minutes each, which 5 minutes isn't anything when you think about it. You do 4 things that are 5 minutes, that's a 20-minute session right there. And you do that every single day. You map that out. I guarantee you within a couple weeks you're going to really start seeing some progress because you're laser beam focused. All right, so those are some quick tips for you today. So keep working on that, practice, put in the time, you know, put in the time. I guarantee you put in the time. I guarantee you'll be coming out to be a great guitar player. All right, so definitely thank you so much once again for being here. Appreciate it. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in our next lesson.